Now, in case you guys are tuning in just now, in case you did not know, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is a very important film for both Disney and Lucasfilm, not just because it determines the future of the Star Wars franchise, but also it's going to show how successful the sequel trilogy was in general, as a whole, to the Star Wars fans around the world. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, Episode 9 is going to be a very complex movie. We do know that they went through a lot of changes and adjustments, and Kathleen Kennedy was involved with many of those different changes, where a lot of scenes were deleted and cut from the movie that would have honestly been the big highlights of the movie if it actually stayed with the finalized version of Episode 9 by, of course, director J.J. Abrams. Now, a lot of fans with just 28 days to go are either very excited about this movie, either very on edge about this film, or are just very apathetic about Star Wars in general. And a lot of people have mixed feelings on Episode 9 so far based on what they have seen in the teasers and the trailers and the TV spots and the promotional material, you name it. Now, what's rather unfortunate has all to do with one of the major adjustments that took place in the summer leading into the fall of this year. Now, specifically, it's explained that during the reshoots of the film for the months of August, September, and October is when many changes and adjustments were made to the film when Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, and Lucasfilm wanted many changes to the second and third acts of the film. It's explained that many of these changes had to do with Disney and Lucasfilm wanting a shift in their overall tone of the movie, generally speaking. One of the major scenes that were being worked on that was completely cut from the film and is not coming back involved the reunion scene between Han Solo, Leia, Luke, and Lando Calrissian, where Chewbacca was even also involved in the scene with Eunice Suetamo. All of which were said to be a part of a flashback scene taking place some years after the events of Return of the Jedi. However, Disney and Lucasfilm decided to cancel further production on the scene as they were running into technological limitations with their de-aging technology and CGI work, and that the type of unused footage of Carrie Fisher was not 100% compatible with the scene for the movie, which led to its cancellation. Originally, it's described it was the main reason Billy D. Williams even came on board for the film, which was to be involved with a simple flashback as this and a cameo in present time with Rey and her crew. However, after the cancellation of that scene, Billy D. Williams was given a far larger role as Lando in The Rise of Skywalker. The flashback scene was said to take place inside of a hangar bay, where the Falcon would be seen in the background. The overall flashback was said to be at max 2 minutes long in length and took around 2 days to shoot, and even involved Harrison Ford on set with Mark Hamill. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this is a very big, bad decision by Disney and Lucasfilm. A terrible decision, and at least in my point of view. In my opinion here, this is a horrible decision by Disney and Lucasfilm. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I think about Disney, you shouldn't really have technological limitations, or you shouldn't have a limitation to your budget when it comes to, making a highlight of the movie, a scene as this that would have easily sold tons of more tickets just based on this scene and this scene alone. It's the one thing that a lot of fans have wanted to see since The Force Awakens that we did not get by J.J. Abrams. It's another thing that fans wanted to see in The Last Jedi that was completely disregarded by Rian Johnson. And again, they actually tried to do this in Episode 9 and failed to do so. And to me, this is a tragedy, because if you look at these characters, these core characters to the original trilogy, when you look at Lando, Luke, Han, Leia, the four great characters, the four great heroes of the original trilogy, I love those characters. I grew up with these characters watching the original trilogy, and what I like so much about this is that it would have really given us a sense of what their lives were like in between episodes 6 and 7, before The Force Awakens, before the rise of the First Order, a time where there was actually peace, and it would have given us a different perspective on the lives of Han, Leia, Luke, and Lando, as well as Chewbacca. Now, Disney and Lucasfilm, like I say, I think it's a very, big missed opportunity that they couldn't have just done this in The Force Awakens to begin with. I think that was the one broken part of the sequel trilogy, is that these classic characters never got together. I mean, even with the new Star Trek films, we got, the new characters matched up with the old characters, but also matching together in a single scene. Sure, new actors played the roles of the younger versions of those characters, what J.J. Abrams did, but those characters are still together. And what's really, a big missed opportunity with this, though, for The Rise of Skywalker is that these were the actual actors who portrayed these characters in the original trilogy. This was actually Mark Hamill, Billy D. Williams, Harrison Ford, and the unused footage of Carrie Fisher from The Last Jedi that they were using for this particular scene. Now, it almost reminds me of how they also failed to bring Rey, Poe, and Finn together as a team in 2 movies straight in the sequel trilogy. I think that was one of the big problems of the sequel trilogy, is that we never got a real sense of a new trio, per se. Whenever I look at Disney Star Wars, like the sequel trilogy, in and on itself, if you examine both Rey, Poe, and Finn, there's no way that they compare to the charisma that both Luke, Han, and Leia had together as a group, and together as a team, or a trio, if you will. That's something that we have never gotten in the first 2 movies of this trilogy, that we are now only getting in Episode 9, and it's only going to be for about half of the movie. And that's the thing with J.J. Abrams. That's what he wanted to do with this movie, because they missed out on this. And I think it's what J.J. honestly would have done in The Last Jedi. I really do believe that if he stuck around for The Last Jedi and he was the director and writer of that movie, he would have had these characters group up and take on the First Order, or, engage in a certain war conflict against the First Order, whatever have you, right? But this particular scene, this flashback that was canceled, not just due to the technological limitations, but also due to the fact that they were running into issues with the unused footage of Carrie Fisher. Honestly, I think that if you wanted to make it work, you can make it work if you're Disney. I mean, Disney of all companies, I feel that they should have been able to do something like this. If you look at Terminator Dark Fate, look at what they did with Sarah. Well, I don't want to give anything away, but if you guys have not seen Dark Fate, cancel this right now. If you guys have seen the beginning of Dark Fate, I'll just say this, is that the beginning is very reminiscent to Terminator 2, but it also angered a lot of fans, including myself. So it was kind of like a love-hate scene. I don't know how to explain it. But looking at The Rise of Skywalker, this would have been pure love for the characters and for the fans of what they were actually going to see between Lando, Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca. I mean, it would have been beautiful. It was all said to take place in a large hangar bay, which would definitely match up with how there were rumors about a year ago that Harrison Ford, Mark, and Billy D. Williams were filming over at Cardington quite a long time ago, with the Falcon in the actual hangar over at Cardington. And that could very well match directly up with this particular scene that was canceled due to the reshoots as well, and how they ran into technological issues for The Rise of Skywalker. And I think that when you're Disney, like I just said before, you really shouldn't really have these limitations. I think that what they were trying to do here is that they were trying to satisfy fans at one point in time, and then they came up with these other ideas that interfered with the overall, tone of the film, and they had to shift it around. But I still feel that Disney took this out either on purpose or because they just did not want to either spend as much money on such, de-aging technology and next generation CGI that would up the budget of this movie, which could very well spell that they are not 100%, I guess you could say, confident in the success of this film. The thing about a film like this, if you're upping the budget constantly and you're not quite sure if it's going to do well at the box office, it's more and more likely to become a flop, like Solo: A Star Wars Story. The main reason why Solo failed, not just because of the movie itself and because of The Last Jedi backlash, yes, those played a role, but the main reason was because they poured so much more money into 80% of the film being reshot. So that would actually play a role in The Rise of Skywalker if they kept, doing different aspects of the film over and over, trying to figure things out with the technology and kind of just trying to make things work. But I feel that they could have made their way around it. They could have sacrificed other scenes in order to kind of just spend more time on this instead of just halting production on that particular moment between those core characters. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.